Hey there, cinephiles. Today I'm going over every movie I saw in July 2021. This monthly watch list series is one that I've been wanting to start for a little while now. This is hopefully the start of a new monthly series in which I share with you guys what movies I saw in the past month and give quick little reviews. It's essentially a more efficient way for me to share recommendations. So without further ado, here's my July watch list. The first movie I saw this month was F9, the latest in the Fast and Furious franchise, and my god is it crazy. For the life of me, I could not take this movie seriously. It honestly was a great comedy in my opinion. It's so bonkers and insane. I know for sure I was laughing the whole time during this movie. It is a bit too long and the pacing's kind of wonky, but it's still a pretty fun time. Next up is Black Widow. This is a movie that honestly felt like it should have came out a decade ago. Overall, the movie's fine. I love Florence Pugh and David Harbour. They really steal this movie. But nothing else about this movie works. The editing is just so bad and the script just feels so dull and lifeless. If it wasn't for the couple of great performances from Florence and David, this might have been the most forgettable MCU movie. The third movie I watched this month was Earth Girls Are Easy. This is an 80s musical that is wall-to-wall with cheese. It has Jeff Goldblum, Jim Carrey, and Marlon Wayans as aliens. And my goodness, are they extremely sexual. Overall, this movie I think is just bonkers in a bad way. Next movie I saw was Jennifer's Body. This is a biting satire at the misogynistic society that we live in today. The metaphors are executed so well. However, my only issues with this movie are some of the motivations and characterizations. To me, they mostly end up feeling a bit flat at times. I do wholeheartedly recommend this movie still if you're interested in satire horror and in wanting to have a deeper conversation that society needs to have. Next up is my rewatch of Before Sunrise. This is the first film in the Before trilogy, which is what I believe to be one of the greatest trilogies of all time. It's such a beautiful love story in which there's no plot really, but you just are invested in these two characters that meet for the first time on a train. You spend an evening with them and you don't want to leave them by the end of it. The following movie is Dirty Dancing. This was my first time watching this extremely charming movie. I now understand why this was such a big hit and it's considered a classic by many. The music's great. It's so 80s, but in such a great way. I honestly was smiling during most of the movie. It might not have been the time of my life, but it was definitely a great time. I then saw Fear Street 1994. This was the first of the Netflix Fear Street trilogy in which they released 3 movies over the month of July. In my opinion, the first one is the worst one, and I'll get to the other 2 later. Right after, I saw Space Jam 2: A New Legacy. I really thought HBO Max did not have ads, but then this came out, a 2-hour ad for HBO Max. I only laughed once the entire time, and that was because of an inside joke I had with a couple of my friends. Up next is the second Fear Street movie, Fear Street 1978. This was slightly better than the first one, however, I still wasn't fully emotionally involved in it. These movies overall just kind of feel like a teenage dream. Speaking of which, let's go to my next movie, which is Fear Street 1666. I think this was the best one as it ties everything together and you get more backstory and you care for these characters a bit more. However, this is still a trilogy in which I was kind of disappointed in. If I was 13 years old and I saw these, I would love it so much more. But as I am right now, it's kind of forgettable overall. I followed up that movie with Dog Day Afternoon, one of Sidney Lumet's most famous films, and I finally watched it for the first time. And honestly, I was tense the entire time. I was really on edge, and in such a great way. This is a great character piece for Al Pacino, who delivers a fantastic performance. And for a movie that mostly takes place in one space, it's pretty dang great. It goes to show how great of a director Lumet was. The following movie is my rewatch of Twilight. This is the second time I've seen this movie, and that Twilight Blue will always be unforgettable. Watching this movie for the second time, I really realized why those who love it, and why I am not one of those people. That baseball scene, though, that's something. The Twilight Saga New Moon. I slightly prefer this movie to the first one. This was the second movie in our Twilight watch, me and my friends. I will say it's It is slightly better than the first. If you love these movies, good for you. Good for you. Next up is my rewatch of Amelie. This French movie is so sweet and endearing. It makes you want to go out and just do everything you set your heart out to. This is such an empowering movie. It is so sweet and lovely. The cinematography is amazing. The acting's great. You just feel for the main character so much. Amelie is honestly such a fantastic movie to watch any day of the week. This next one is one that I never thought I'd watch, Aria. This 1950s Venezuelan salt documentary is one of my friend's favorite movie of all time. And honestly, I'm glad I got to watch it with her and our other friends. Seeing someone's favorite movie and getting to watch it with them is always so interesting to me. It's a black and white film, and honestly, it feels so lively the way it's shot. And this is a great example of why filmmaking is so important, because you get to see a different side of the world that you never thought you'd see. Second to last movie I saw this month was Moulin Rouge. I got to see this movie on the big screen for the first time, and oh my goodness, do I love this movie more and more every time I see it. The performances are spectacular. There's so much over-the-topness throughout the movie, and at the end of it, you just feel the great big heart that it has. This is one of the few movies that I almost cry in every single time. And finally, my last movie of the month, Fantastic Planet. This 1970s animated French movie with all female animators, by the way, is so incredibly weird. This is one of those cult classic movies, I feel like, and I'm glad I watched it, but I don't know if I'll ever watch it again. This is such a trip of a movie, and I still don't fully know how I feel about it. Okay, so those are all the movies I saw in July of 2021. Let me know your thoughts on any of them down in the comments below. Also, let me know if I should continue this monthly series and give me some recommendations. As always, thank you so much for liking, commenting, and subscribing. Stay tuned for more Yeti Films content, and I'll watch you later.